I'll lay out some cards just in general. You've reached the Tarot Cat Readings channel, and this is actually my first video, so I'm just kind of playing around with things first to see what's workable and what isn't in my little space here. And I'm just throwing out a general reading for whoever this might reach, whoever might see this. And some of you have a rough road ahead, looks like. And yet, it all comes out in the wash, so to speak. Starting with these three cards here. You have the Devil. You have our friend here, the Devil. Not a nice guy. We have the Knight of Pentacles. Much more improvement. And then you have the Ten of Swords. Okay? Something tells me that fairly recently, and this may not resonate with everybody, it's not meant to. This is not a reading for everyone or a particular zodiac sign or anything like that. Again, I'm just playing around here. And if it resonates with you and it's helpful in your current situation, whenever it is that you actually see this, you're seeing it for a reason. So it doesn't matter if you see this reading today or if you see it 6 months or so after it's posted or any time after that. If you're hearing it and it's talking to you, then it's meant for you. The Devil, the Knight of Pentacles, and the Ten of Swords. It sounds to me like in the last couple of weeks, with particularly with the Devil card, it's almost like you were almost led down the garden path, which turned into a maze with no escape, or so it seems. It looks like you were forced into doing something, whether you were convinced to do it, lied to do it, or you convinced yourself that this will be a great idea, it'll work out, I'll just keep my fingers crossed. And it didn't work out. And now you have the Knight of Pentacles over you. And for me, when I look at knights, knights are the only people in the deck that are not people. They are thoughts, their intentions, they're the directions, they're the conversations we're having with ourselves, possibly with others, and in this case I'm going to say it's with you, yourself, and you and yourself, in that, what do I do now? Who can I ask for help? Who can I approach for assistance? It may even need to be financial assistance. How can I help with them? How can I get help before this totally blows up in my face? And you may get some help. I'm just not sure that it's going to be enough to get you out of the trouble that you're in. In 2 weeks, you have the Ten of Swords there, and that's when it's going to be your deep well of regret. That's when, I'm not going to say everything's going to come crashing down on you, because even looking at those three cards, I don't think that's what's going to happen. But I do think that you're going to feel very foolish, very stupid. I think you're going to feel like, how did I let this happen? How did I let them down? How did I let myself down? The truth of the matter is, nothing is going to be, or is now, anywhere near as bad as you think it is. Yes, you made some foolish errors, and yes, you had to ask to get help, whether it's advice that bails you out, or money, or both. Someone else taking care of helping you take care of this situation. You have to carry it the last 10 yards, so to speak, but I expect you in the next couple of weeks to be out of it, and I expect you to, by then, kind of not be, you'll be over the situation itself, you'll be beyond the situation itself. Realistically, the situation will be pretty much over with, all but for the cleanup, but that will be the time that you really realize just how badly you mess things up for yourself and possibly some other people. But again, I'm going to say that as bad as you look at it, as bad as you evaluate it, it's not going to be anywhere near as bad as you think it is. Other people by then, even the people that are involved, will have moved on by that point in time in a couple of weeks. There may be some hurt feelings, or there may even be 1 or 2 people that are still mad at you. But if everybody else in the situation is honest about it, they're not going to look at it as quite the defeat that you do. Whereas in 2 weeks, you're going to look at it like I'm down here at the lowest point in the Grand Canyon of mistakes, and how am I going to get myself out of it? How will I get my reputation back? How will I move on from here? Whether it's to another situation, another job, or in the same job but a better situation, all those things, So, and if there's any loss out of this, which might not be, it's not too far out of the realm of possibility that you may feel like it's better for you to resign where you're at or leave where you're at. You still will not have messed up as badly as you think, as you will believe around, I would say, the 12th or so of December. I say that because the next two cards, although they are also swords or have swords in them, you have the Justice card and you have the Two of Swords. Now, just so you know, I don't read the to any card reversed. The Justice card basically says that everything that happens is the right thing to happen. Everything. You're never where you shouldn't be. Nothing ever really happens that somewhere karmically you weren't aware of, that you weren't anticipating. And the fact that you could have handled it better does not mean that you're going to get this massive punishment. I'm not going to tell you aren't going to be threatened with it. I'm not going to tell you that, particularly if this is something that happened in a place like your work or your job or with some clients. I'm not going to tell you that they aren't going to threaten you with something, and they may even carry that threat out. But the justice part of this is that while you may get the cards that you deserve, so to speak, you are not going to be overly abused. You're not going to be overly taxed. You're not going to be given any sort of, for lack of a better word, punishment, if you will, that you don't deserve. You're going to get only what you deserve, no matter what other people say. And that's it. That's it. You're going to move on from there. In fact, it's going to be a lot less of a, punishment or karma for whatever this was, whatever your culpability is. There's going to be a lot less than you anticipate, again, because this is so big and blown up in your mind. But in the real world, not that big a deal. Looking at it from a distance, stuff like this, stuff like what you're going through, stuff that does cause a forced resignation or even being fired from a job, is not a career ender. Something that forces you, that you took money out on and you lost the money or somebody stole it from you, happens to people all the time. Yes, you're going to have to pay it back, probably a lot of it, but you're not going to be, if you pay it back quickly enough, you are not going to be hit up with undue interest or that sort of thing. And the Two of Swords indicates that, even as this justice thing occurs, which I believe is starting to happen now, you're starting to find out exactly what your culpability is and what is the due, what is your due, so to speak, for what you did or failed to do. That's coming. But because you're still kind of in shock, you're still fretting over it, you're still worried about it, you still feel abysmally guilty about it, again, looks bigger than it really is. They're telling you what's going to happen. They're telling you what's expected of you. You have either turned in your resignation or you've signed a promissory note or they've fired you or whatever it is. And you're looking for the other shoe to drop, like the real punishment starts now. And it's not. It's not. What happens from here on out is the healing process. You picking back up the pieces of your life, of your relationship, of your career. And it's going to be a while for you to earn your way back to the level that you were at in those areas of your life. It's going to be a little while. but it's going to be done. And I think sooner than you believe. Do not let the fear of this, of what you think may be more punishment coming your way, stop you. You know, your other people's opinions of you, including opinions that are disdainful, are not punishment. They're other people's opinions. They weren't in your shoes. They can be judgmental all they want, but the fact of the matter is you've had whatever punishment you're going to get, you've already got it right now. It's either happening right now or it just happened. You already know. And I'm telling you, there's not going to be another major shoe dropping. The Seven of Swords there in the challenge position, our little friend right here, is basically telling you, do not procrastinate. Decide how you're going to bring yourself back, starting with your own self-respect and your own comfort zone, to be caring of yourself, productive of yourself, caring of the people that you care about, taking care of the people you're responsible for, and then getting back into the professional thing. Do not wait on that. You don't have to take giant leaps, but you do need to make steady progress. Don't let this intimidate you. Don't let this make you hide. Don't let this, don't lick your wounds, so to speak, for any longer than absolutely necessary. Because the longer you stay off that horse, the harder it's going to be to find the saddle to get back on it again. And you don't need to. You don't need to wait. This is not the earthquake you think it is. It's a really bad trip up, and you have fallen and skinned your knees and hands, but the four walls are not going to cave. They're still standing. There may be a lot of dust, a little bit of rubble, a lot of people wringing their hands and so on, or giving you the what for or what have you, but the reality is everything's still standing. The sun comes up tomorrow, and you can dig yourself out of this. The outcome is great. You've got the Three of Cups there, and threes are agreement numbers. There are people who love you. There are quite a few who may be rather disappointed or bewildered at some of the choices that you've made. But in the end, their agreement to be in your corner, whether it's karmic or marital or familial ties, whatever it is, friendship, whatever, they never really leave your side. They may step away a little bit, wait for you to kind of pull yourself together, but they're never out of reach. They won't be too far away from you. And for those that are currently unhappy with you or angry with you, they will get over it. I feel very strongly that certainly within about, let's see, I want to say, about 3 months from now, and this is currently the end of November of 2019, so I'm gonna say December. So I'm going to say probably by February-ish of 2020, you by then have this in your rearview mirror. You will have repaired most of your relationships and started some new and good and productive ones, particularly publicly and professionally if you're out there in the public, whether you volunteer, you work for a paycheck, you're responsible for certain things. But this also affects your personal relationships as well. And so you're going to have people around you who are going to feel as if they witnessed a very slow train wreck that they could not stop. They may have even tried, but they couldn't do it. And every single one of us has been our own train wreck. We've either been in the caboose being dragged along for the ride, or we've been the engineer up front driving that train, throwing the coal in on the fire, having no clue that ahead of us the bridge is out. And so don't kick yourself. It's not the last time it's going to happen. It'll probably happen again unless you are willing to learn from this, pay attention to all sides around you that have different opinions and say to you, this sounds okay, but, or this doesn't sound okay, and here's why, or here's an alternative. You know, you need to carefully weigh things from the sense of, if I had a friend coming to me with this proposition, what would I be telling them? If I had a friend or a family member coming to me in this position and they were about to try this, what would I be telling them? And tell yourself that. Underneath it all was the moon. Now, the moon is an interesting card. She talks about psychic ability in the sense of knowing, having an inkling of, having a strong sense of that something isn't quite right. She can also talk about betrayal. And part of the reason why I say slow train wreck is because she represents a time about 1.5 years from the time you're listening to this. About 1.5 years back, where there was a betrayal in your life. Somebody that you counted on to help you do something, or to get something taken care of, or to watch your back on something. That person was yeah, all on board and everything, until you needed them. The moment you needed them, they were nowhere to be found. They completely dropped the ball. And it's not, I don't think, because they didn't intend to help you. I think it's because when the point came, they just found themselves incapable of it, or didn't understand what it is that they were supposed to do. So they just didn't get it that they failed you miserably. And, they're just not anywhere to be found, and maybe weren't anywhere to be found for quite some time. So there's that, and I think that because of the scrambling you had to do back then, again, about 1 year to 18 months from the time you're listening to this, it put you on a path where, in the back of your mind, you were like, well, I can't really trust anybody to handle this. I've got to do it myself, which is just as bad as relying on everybody else to take care of you. One extreme or the other is just not wise. You have to do what you can do, and then trust the rest to God, the universe, whoever you have faith in, for somebody else to, step up if need be. And if nobody else steps up, that whatever happens, whatever way the chips fall, then that's how it's meant to be, and you just go on from there. Rather than trying to play all the instruments in that orchestra yourself. Because to you, it won't be an orchestra unless every instrument is played. To you, the situation won't resolve itself in the most ideal manner unless every detail that you perceived is handled. And if it's not handled, then it must be ruined. And that's not the case. That's not the case with this. You were let down, yes. Was it a earthquake then? Probably not. It may have been really disappointing, but it didn't end things for you. So, as an outcome, you have the Three of Wands, the High Priestess, and our friend the King of Pentacles, which tells me that you survive all this very nicely. You have a new enterprise, so to speak, either a new job or new training, a new outside the house environment. You have the High Priestess, which says there's certain secrets that you didn't know about either in the last few weeks, and I think also from 1.5 years ago. Certain things that you weren't told, either because the other people around you didn't think it was important, or they just didn't want to tell you. You'll know which one that is when you find out. That'll be coming up. And then you also have the King of Pentacles, which indicates that you will be in a place in your life where socially and financially you will have gotten yourself out of the hole. You will have put money away where you need it to be, and you'll be ready to embark on a new adventure, so to speak. So I would anticipate sometime in the late spring, early summer, that I see you, interestingly enough, getting a new position. Not necessarily a new place of employment, but something that you're doing yourself. It could even be entrepreneurial. And, I wish you good luck. And if this resonates with you, no matter when it is you see it, whether it's today that it's posted or 10 years from now, tell us in the comments. Let us know what you think. God bless.